Good afternoon. Just a second, let me close my window so people don't hear me ranting down the street. So yeah, it's been nice weekend, interesting weekend. Hope everyone's having a good time. We are now on Monday, which is normally quite a slow day for me, so I thought I'd come on and give another GW story. I've started to go into these now with... I think I'm starting to use up the memories that I've got formed properly in my mind, so I'm actually making notes these days. This one I haven't, because I just thought there's so many things that went on that weekend that I could go on about that, So this is going to be a story about me doing a training evening in Leeds with Games Workshop. Now, this is not a retail workshop. This is just a get-together of people in the local area. So basically, people in my area, all the managers from my area, would go to this place. But unfortunately, we had a few from London as well, and we'll get to the unfortunately a little bit later on. One of whom was the brown-nosing manager who we covered in our last video, who was at the retail workshop too. Another new manager. So I'll get to him in a minute. In fact, I'm going to make a quick note because this might go on for a little while. 400. Okay, cool. So I've been working in my own store for a little while now. I've been doing quite well. Getting to know people, getting to build my customer base, getting to have people coming around, and we were averaging around like 850, I'd say, a week, which is great. So I was basically paying my own wages 1 week, and then the other 3 weeks was straight profit basically for the store. So I think we were going pretty well. I had my support staff all nailed in, and yeah, it was going really, really well. I'd just done a stock check before leaving actually for this training, and the stock check was just a shit show because the system wouldn't work. Like when these things always happen with corporate design. So they want a stock check of everything in the store. Okay, cool. And everyone in the company has to do this. Every store has to do this, mostly at the same time. But you generally do it whenever you want. But you've got to close the store for a day to do it, or come in on your day off. So I closed the store for the day, and I was doing all the stock check. And a few paintbrushes were missing. So probably like people have come in and taken them and walked out, something like that. And then the entire system crashed and didn't organize or see any of the things that I'd put on. So I was like, okay, great, this is fantastic. You have to start the entire 4 to 5 hour process over again. It was horrible. So I was going to the training, not in the best of moods, but still fine, and got the train down there, and it was in Leeds, which I thought was weird, because, why aren't we in somewhere else? And we ended up being at a travel lodge. Sorry, taking a sip of tea. We ended up going to a travel lodge, and, it had like a boardroom capability, that's probably why we were there. Also remember, I got in, and I saw that brown-nosing manager, and I was like, oh no, and I walked around the corner to go and find my room. And most of the guys were already there, and they said, yeah, just go and get changed and meet us in the bar. Okay, cool, I like the sound of that. So I walk around the corner, and I always remember at the end of the hallway, there was this door, because I was on the ground floor, there was this door with glass windows, heading out to a garden area, or it's not really a garden area, but the side of the hotel, And there was 4 rabbits there, bunny rabbits. So I remember a girl I was seeing at the time, I'd sent her a picture, and she was overjoyed with these bunny rabbits, So I went and got changed, and I thought, well, I'm not getting caught out this time, okay? Because this is the first training thing I've had since the retail workshop. I brought my Games Workshop t-shirt with me, So I was like, no, I'm not fucking having this. I'm not getting caught out again. So, and a bunch of the guys had turned up in their Games Workshop stuff, I was like, okay, cool. So I threw my Games Workshop t-shirt on, went down to the bar, said hello to the guys, said, hey, how's it going? Yeah, blah, blah. Went, oh, I'll go and get a beer, you know, whatever. So I got a beer, and one of the guys comes over from the group and says, yeah, nobody else is wearing Games Workshop stuff. Why are you wearing Games Workshop stuff? In like a, not an accusatory manner, but in like a, you know, why you. And I was like, by this point, I was sick of this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was expecting something. I was walking into rooms expecting someone to say something nasty to me. That's how bad it was getting. I would literally walk into a room. I've not done anything. I've not said anything, and I'm waiting for them to start with this. And I said, quite honestly, I said, well, the last time I was at anything like this, I didn't have my Games Workshop t-shirt on, and I got lambasted for it, and, you know, I'm not having that again, so I'd rather not take a chance, you know. I said, well, we'd rather you not be seen, like, drinking and stuff with a Games Workshop t-shirt, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll go back and change it, no problem. I get that, it's fine, you know. Then I look over his shoulder. Two of the guys are sitting there. Now, this could be a non-alcoholic drink, to be fair. It could be. But they're sitting there with like a half glass, you know, like a half pint glass. You know, the thinner one. With Coke in it. Looks like, you know, Cloak. But it could be anything in there. It could be vodka. It could be anything. And they're in their Games Workshop t-shirts. And I was like, okay. So I went to my room and I got changed and I came back on again. But that entire thing, you know, I sit down with my pint now and I'm drinking it. It's going down in lumps. Do you know what I mean? I'm like thinking, what else are they going to find? What else are they going to try and... Do you know what I mean? I'm sitting here just, you know, just ruin the whole fucking thing. So I'm sitting there, and the head of retail is sitting next to me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, he's talking away. And essentially, like most things like this, he's holding court, and everyone's laughing at his jokes. And I'm like, okay, right. Well, it's going to be a long night. And he starts talking to somebody else about Elite Dangerous. And I was like, oh, cool. I'd like Elite Dangerous. So I pipe into the conversation, you know. Yeah, we're sitting right next to each other. And I asked him a question about his Elite Dangerous character. You know, his ship. And he goes, gimbaled, probably. I was like, oh, so what kind of weapons you go load it with? Gimbaled, probably. Okay, cool. And I was like, oh, right, cool, yeah, you know, I told him this funny story, like 30 seconds long, about how, because the original Elite Dangerous, when it came out, when you were getting goods and stuff, there was only like a text description of it, there wasn't like a picture. So I got a thing called Indentured Servants, right? And it just says I servants next to it. So I got a load of those, you know. And I ended up venting them into space back, so I've all their cargo bays that had these like slaves in them. I just vented them into space, and you know they got killed. It's a lot funnier than that when I go into the actual story, but I want to carry on with this other story that I'm telling. So you know, and I was just like, yeah, and he just looked at me like, why are you still talking? Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of a look. And I just went, okay, and I literally said okay, and I just sat back down, not sat back down, but sat back and drank my drink and just looked around. Just let him get on with it, you know. I just, you know, because I'm not. I swear to God, like I've got the most patience in the world until I don't. You know, I have the most patience for rudeness, for being a dick, for like, you know, because you might be having a bad day, whatever. Until I've had enough, and until I don't, and that way I will keep giving you chances to not be a dick. And if you keep throwing them back at me, then I'm going to throw them back at you. That's essentially what I start doing. Is I keep being nice to you, and the minute you're not nice to me, I make a snarky comment. Because fuck you. Right? Like, I get, because you know, you're getting it back now. And I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And just sat back down. I sat back, and I was just like, sitting there, talking. And of course, you know, the brown-nosing manager is telling stories about his fucking store and how it's all going there. And you know, I end up just getting drunk on my own and going back to my room and calling my girlfriends, being like, yeah, you know, it's all fine. You know, they're all cunts, but it's all fine. And I was reading the Night Lords trilogy at that stage, so I started reading that. And I had this epiphany as I was sitting there in bed, reading this book. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this book. Why aren't I enjoying this book? I was enjoying it yesterday. And I had to think. And I called my girlfriend back. I was like, yeah, for some reason, this book's getting better and better, and I'm just not enjoying it. And she said, well, have you thought about how your experience there might be affecting your enjoyment of what you're representing? And I was like, oh, yeah. And that's literally what it was. Right? I was falling out of love with the hobby. I was starting to not like it. I was starting to associate the hobby with feeling bad and feeling depressed and feeling down and being run down and spoken to like a piece of shit and being made to feel like I didn't belong and being made to feel like I wasn't worth anything, or like, you know, I shouldn't be there, you know, and I just started to lose interest. I started to lose, and I've said this a few times where that was the moment I knew. I think there was loads of these. That was another one of those moments where I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore, because it's now taking away something that I truly love. It's now taking that away and poisoning it for me. And I think a big warning sign, well, not warning sign, but a big thing to say, every time I come on, people do this. Thank you if you're emailing me, but no, come on. I need a be right back button or something. When I left Games Workshop, I walked away from the hobby for 2 years, 2 full years. And it took me being in a really good relationship and my life being in a really good place beyond Warhammer for me to come back. I came back in fully in like 2020. You know, I dabbled before then, but I went back to full time. You know, I get one hobby kit a month and I paint it and I, you know, that sort of thing. I did, you know, that was a one every 2 months, whatever I can afford, basically. If I don't, like, Warhammer's always on the bottom of the list for me. Yeah, I know I'm doing quite well emotionally as well as like other things when I've bought a model, if you know what I mean, because it's a big time investment, it's a big effort sink, and if I can pick myself up to do that, then obviously I'm not in as bad a place as I thought I was. There's been many times where I've been really depressed and I've started doing some modeling, I've started doing some Warhammer, and I've felt better because I'm like, well, I can do this, and if I can do this, then I can do other things, you know, and I use it as a foundation to build from there. That's how positive Warhammer can be. It's a beautiful hobby spoiled by a nasty company. You know, it really is a beautiful thing, though, that we have. The prices could be better, yes. It has its faults, yes. The company can be tone deaf, yes. And working for the company can be a nightmare, yes. But the hobby itself, you know, and yes, we have that guys and stuff. The hobby itself is really, really good. And that's why losing it when I was sitting in that hotel room and I was just realised that I actually welled up a little bit. I didn't cry, but I did have a little bit of a well up. I was like, because I felt so lonely. I was just sitting there on my bed. My girlfriend at the time is in America, like she's not, you know, and I'm just feeling so fucking lonely and down. I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. I hate these people. I actively dislike everybody in that room. There's not one, you know, person in there that I feel any sort of connection, or they're just not me. They're not my people. I'm a Warhammer guy. I throw dice for the love of throwing dice, you know? I have fun. I want to talk about the lore and the background and the painting schemes. I want to celebrate other people's hobbies. I want to jump into what they're doing and say, wow, dude, that model looks amazing, even when it doesn't. Because I know you need that pat on the back, because it's such a hard thing to do, to pick up those brushes. And I'm stuck in a room with people who actively lambast their customers for how bad their fucking models are. My ex-manager used to do that. My ex-manager, I'm giving away another story for free here, which I shouldn't do. But when I was working in that store, I had somebody come in, right? A dad, quite rightfully, pissed off. On that manager's day off, by the way, so obviously, came pissed off saying, the manager of this store, right, criticised my daughter's models. And I was like, oh, well, you know, surely she's, he was quite old. I was like, surely she's like, you know, university age. I was like, oh, well, when she's back at uni or at home. And he went, uni? She's 7. I was like, oh my God. Now, these are the kind of people I'm talking, you know, these are the kinds of people I'm talking about. The next day I walked downstairs, in my Games Workshop gear this time, because we were doing the training. And the training consisted of us sitting around a table and they're just talking about how we were going to do our stores and how we're going to make sure that our stores were properly administered from this moment on and things like that. One sec, I'm going to take a sip of tea. One sec. There we go. And lo and behold, comes to me and I give it a few ideas and people just nodding and, you know, and the head of retail says, I don't think that would work, right? So I basically came out and said we could do a narrative campaign in the stores, right? Like in my store, I could do a narrative campaign where a customer will come in, and I had already done this, by the way, so you know they didn't know, but I'd already done it for like months and it was going really well, and that's why I was making quite a lot of money. I did a narrative in the store where I said, look, I'm going to have this narrative campaign, and I'm going to have I'm going to create a world in Warhammer 40,000, like the store world. There's going to be a store sector and a store world, right? And we're all going to fight over this world, kind of like not Dark Vengeance, what was it called? The Dawn of War expansion, the Necron one. You know what I mean? Yeah, kind of like that, where you go to a planet like Kronos and you start you're all conquering different parts of it and things like that. And every week or every month, depending on how much I thought I could push it, you got to make your own Warhammer 40,000 unit. What I mean by that is, if you've ever seen like a Grey Knight halberd and you thought, ooh, that would look really cool in one of my Space Marines, right? Well, I've got loads of them in the bits box. So if you want to come in and buy yourself a £35 unit of intercessors, I will give you some halberds. There you go, there's some halberds. Stick them on. And you've got this really cool 5-man Space Marine unit with fucking Grey Knight halberds, and they're your specific unit. And we will even write rules for that unit. How cool is that? And we were doing so well with that. It was such a good... Because that hits so many levels. You hit so many different players with that. You hit the guys who want to convert stuff. You hit the guys who want unique models. You hit the guys who want a really powerful tabletop. And we always made sure that everybody's specific units were really powerful. You know what I mean? And they were always good at different things. It was like a yin and yang stuff. Yeah, we had really powerful Tau gun units. We had really powerful spaceful close combat units. You know. Should have muted that, but whatever. I wanted to take a drink. And the head of retail says, I don't think that'll work. I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it'll work. And I was so wanted to say, well, it is fucking working. Look at my, I was like, this store last year was making £250 a week. Now it's making close to £900 a week. So it is fucking working. Thank you very much. That's sort of a... But I was like, okay. I sat back. It's not my hill to die on. I know I'm doing it, and I know I'm getting good results from it. Fine, whatever. Mr. Brownlows pipes up, and they say to him, what's your idea? He says, I would rather have, right, a tournament. And everyone was like, okay, what do you mean? He said, I'd rather have like a character-on-character tournament where people have got to pay and build their own sets, got to pay for and build their own characters, and we'll do that over Christmas. And that normally almost got a standing fucking ovation. And I was like, it's the same idea. It's the same idea. What is going on? Why is that getting... What's going on? I was just sitting there just like, that's the same idea I fucking had, And anyway, his conversation goes on, because now he has the floor. I got like 30 seconds, he got fucking, whatever. So I'm sitting there, and he's saying, when I took over my store, I wouldn't let anyone play games in the store. When I took over my store, you're only allowed a 500-point game on a 4x4 table. That's what I'm doing now. All the rest of them can't come in. I just don't want them there. And I'm just sitting there thinking, because the store, he told us his store was doing quite well. I mean, I don't know. And I was just like, are you not a nutter? Like, you're just going in there and acting like a prick, basically. And you want me to believe that you're being rewarded for that with new customers? Like, Because if somebody did that to me, I wouldn't walk back into a Games Workshop store. I'd be like, yeah, okay, fuck this. See you later. I'll go to the trade account down the road. Or I'll go, or I'll even go and buy a 3D printer. Fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. I would be that annoyed, you know? I just, yeah. So, let's skip forward a little bit. Because I could rant about that guy all day. But we also had a little training bit where we went next door, and he was in my group with another guy who was higher up than us in the chain of command, and we were coming up with these ideas, and I came with these ideas for the store, and I came up with a marketing campaign where you would go to YouTubers like Tabletop Tactics, like people like that, and you'd go and bring them in and get them into the store and say, hey, here's a space, why don't you film it in here? I'll close the store, you know, on Thursday night when the store is already closed, you know, I'll close the blinds, you can all come in and play here. And that was a really good idea. And I can't remember what the really bad idea was. I think the third guy took the bad idea. He said the bad idea. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. I remember what my idea was. And when we went back into the room, the guy who had seniority didn't have to say an idea for the group. Right? Because, I don't know why. Right? He just didn't have to say it. As we were going around the room. So when he said, does anyone else from that group have anything to say? I went to talk, and the fucking brown noser. I think it'd be a really good idea if we went to different YouTubers, and I was just like looking at him. Like, are you fucking shitting me? Are you shitting me? Right. And he finished, and I said, well, that was my idea, but okay. I will now say his idea. Okay. And then I said, you know, that. I said his idea, and he gave me a look of fucking thunder, like, and really annoyed. Anyway, skip forward. Just gone on long enough. I'm on the train going home, and I'd had bad days before, and I'd had amazing days before. I'd had bad experiences before, and I'd had amazing experiences. So they've always bounced out. That was the first weekend where every single experience I had just ran me down and made me want to just fucking never look at a Games Workshop model ever again. And I called my girlfriend on the train, and I said, babe, I think I'm done. I think I'm done here. And she said, I've been waiting for you to say that for about 6 months. Yeah, she was like, how you've kept going with this is just, you know, it's almost like you got your dream job and you wanted to make it work, and it's like, well, that's exactly what it is. I lasted at Games Workshop for another 5-6 months after that, before finally, I think it was just after New Year's, I handed in my notice and was like, no, you know, here's your 2 months, I've had enough. And they invited me to apply for the job anyway, because this is how stupid it is, right? So because I was leaving, they put my job up for you know, for to be applied for. And then they invited me to apply for it. It's like, I fucking resigned. Like, what are you talking about? As a joke, I thought, I wonder if I'll get it. I wonder if I get my own job back. You know what I mean? Like, so I applied for it. And when they called me, a couple of months, well, not even a couple of months later. I was in a cab going somewhere. I can't remember where I was going. I might have been coming. In fact, I'd just gotten back from America. Right, so I'd just gotten back from seeing my girlfriend in America, and they called me, and I'd said to them, look, when I get back from the States, normally I'm a fucking emotional wreck because I'm not going to see this girl again for another 5-6 months. So, you know, do you mind, you know, leaving work stuff for a few days when I get back? And I even put that on my email, put that, you know, everywhere, a request, please don't call me. And I'll be jet lagged and things, so I can't deal with anything from the store. Just, you know, support staff can do it. I'm not in for another 4 or 5 days, you know. They call me, and they say, you didn't get the job. And they're really, you know, they're not nice about it. You know what I mean? They're like, you didn't get the job. You didn't get the job. I was like, okay, cool, fine. I put the phone down, and it was like a weight I just lifted from my chest. I was just like, okay, cool, excellent. Okay, I'm free, and I don't have the guilt of having to turn the job down. That's what I thought. Because if they'd have come back to me and said, you know, you got the job, because I'd had an email earlier on that week saying I'd had it, saying you know, from one of my trainers saying, yeah, you've got the job. Don't know why they sent me that, but you know, just saying, yeah, you're more than likely going to get the job because like no one's come forward and blah blah. Turns out there was a manager of like 20 years experience from another store who wanted to transfer, so they just transferred him over because they knew I didn't want to be there anymore. So, from what I know, that store is now open 2 days a week. You know, go figure. I haven't gone back there since. I haven't, you know, mentioned anything about it since, really, to anyone. Apart from you guys, of course. But that is my uplifting training story. I'm sorry it was a bit of a depressing one today, but, you know, it is what it is. Probably the longest one I've done, considering. We will be doing more of these, of course. I've got loads more to tell and to say about GW, about what working there is like. I'd love to do a more positive video, so I think I might do that next time. In fact, I'm going to do a more positive video next time. If you were at the shop that I worked at, where I was not managing, but I was working, you might want to come back for that video, because you might appear in it. Not your names, obviously, but you might appear in it. So, I'll speak to you guys next time. Have a good one.